Happy Monday, everyone. Today is Monday, December 19th. And first, before I get into today's Monday message, how are you doing? This is what we are 6 days away from Christmas. Some school districts are already closed. My school district is not. We still have 4 days. We're going up until Thursday. But how are you doing? Take a moment to comment in the chat section or down below and just let me know, how are you doing today? I genuinely care and I genuinely would like to know. So please take a moment to let me know how you were doing today. Okay? Okay. So this week I have some amazing news to share. As of last week, I am officially a graduate of Mount St. Mary's University in Emmitsburg, Maryland. And not only am I a graduate of that school, I graduated with my second master's degree, specifically a Master's of Art in Teaching. Now, I know you're probably wondering, why'd you get a second master's degree? Well, my first master's degree is in public administration, and even though my bachelor's degree is in finance, the state of Maryland requires that you have a teaching degree and some more certification in order to be a teacher in the state of Maryland. So for the last 2 years, literally 23 months, I was enrolled at Mount St. Mary's and I was taking courses, and I am finally finished. I submitted my last paper earlier this month, and then this past Wednesday I celebrated with all of the other winter graduates, fall graduates, and we had an amazing champagne toast. Mine was cider because I do not drink, but it was an amazing experience, and hopefully you saw some pictures, whether on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, somewhere. If not, I'll try to link some into this, but it was an amazing celebration and I am so grateful to be finished. But let me tell you why I wanted to come on here today and why today's title is specifically the growth of me. So when I started this program, or when I even applied to this program, let me tell you a little bit about what happened. Around November of 2020, I attended an interest meeting at my school district to say, hey, I'm interested in becoming a teacher. I met with HR, and after I met with HR, she went over some things, the coursework that I would have to go. I thought I was going to be a math teacher because I love math. She said, well, based on the credits that you have, it would be a little bit easier for you to be a business teacher. And I said, okay, I can work with that. She gave me a list of some universities to reach out to and to possibly apply to just to see, what their programs would be like. And I reached out to Mount St. Mary's. I honestly couldn't tell you what prompted me to do that, but I did. Reached out to Mount St. Mary's, sent them my transcripts, said, hey, I'm interested in coming. And this is where God stepped in. In only sending my transcripts, I received an email back saying that I had been accepted into Mount St. Mary's, and all I needed to do was formally apply. Look at God. So I formally applied, and you know me, considering the fact that I paid for my education for undergrad and my first master's, my next thought was, okay, who's going to pay for this? Well, my school district has an amazing tuition program for employees, and put it this way, every single penny of my master's degree program was paid for by my school district. And not only was it paid for by my school district, it wasn't a Michelle pays and school district reimburses. No, this was a direct pay situation. So the money went straight from my school district to Mount St. Mary's. Praise God. I cannot tell you what kind of relief that was to know that I never had to come out of pocket for my education. I did pay roughly about $200 for textbooks over the course of the past 2 years, but I did claim those on my taxes because it was an educational expense. So I did not pay for my master's degree. That is a whole shout and praise in and of itself, but then there's one more piece, or another piece, I should say. Most teachers, when they're going through their teacher program, they may not have a job lined up. I can say it's only by the grace of God, but I was fully and gainfully employed the entire time that I was pursuing this degree. And not only was I fully employed, I was fully employed within the school system, which is a blessing and is completely unheard of. I was more of the exception than the rule. But it gets better. So not only was that a blessing, but I finished my entire master's degree program with an overall 4.0 GPA. To God be the glory. And this is where the growth comes in. Back in middle school, I feel like I did well academically, but I was beginning to show signs of struggling emotionally. A matter of fact, I did fairly well in middle school. And then when I transitioned to high school, everything crashed around me because I was not emotionally stable throughout high school. Depression was there and I didn't recognize that it was depression, and my grades tanked in everything except for math. If I'm not mistaken, I think I graduated with either a 2.75 or like a 2.5. Like, I just graduated from high school because everything except for math tanked. I realized and had to accept then that I needed glasses right after my grades started tanking. I didn't know then, but I know now that I have ADHD and that impacted my learning. And then emotional dysregulation caused a major breakdown. So all three of those things combined in high school, and my grades were horrible. And then in college, let's just say, freshman year was freshman year, and sophomore year was a repeat of freshman year. And by the time I transferred to Morgan State, I realized that I still had not developed the work ethic that I needed in order to be truly successful in college. I was still emotionally broken, still turning to alcohol and many other things to comfort needs within me that truly could not be met by the things that I was using to cope. And I didn't do well. I can tell you exactly what my GPA was. My GPA was a 2.75 from college. And the only reason I know is because I needed a 2.75 to pledge a sorority. And that's exactly how I know that that's all I had. So I tried to redeem myself by the time I went to graduate school for my first master's. And I did. The Lord was great. I started to learn some better strategies, identified a little bit more with what was going on within me. And I graduated, took a little bit longer, but I did graduate with my master's in public administration, and I had a 3.69 GPA. So when I started at the Mount for this degree, I just had a couple of goals, and these are the goals that I want to share with you today. As we talk about growth, I want you all to take note of this and to use it in your life. I pray that it is a blessing for you and that something in this can help you. The first thing that I wanted in pursuing the second master's versus any other degree that I had before, I wanted to be true to me. I wanted to make sure that I was doing something for me, not because my mom thought that this was the best path for me, not because my best friend was going to the school, not because everyone else around me was saying, Michelle, you should do this. No, I wanted to choose and do something that was for me, something that I knew would bring me joy. And go figure, teaching students, educating students, being with students brings me joy. There is nothing I love more than seeing that look on their face, that aha moment when they finally understand what's happening and they can retain the information, retrieve the information, and then repeat the information back to me or show it in some application of their life, there is no greater feeling than that. So I wanted to do something this time that was for me. The next thing that I wanted with this particular degree, I wanted to be my own competition. So often in life, we try to compete with the person next to us or the person who kind of looks like us, or we compete with people in our gender expression. No one outside of you is your competition. In fact, I can't think of who said it, but it said that your only competition is the person you were yesterday. And that's who I was competing against. I was competing against the Michelle from my NPA. I was competing against the Michelle from my bachelor's degree. I was competing against the Michelle from my high school diploma. I was competing against the Michelle from my middle school promotion. I was competing against the Michelle of yesterday. And the Michelle of yesterday, although she had so much strength in some areas, she still had room to grow. And that was my biggest competition. I just wanted to do better because I knew that I could. And lastly, another goal that I had during this process, I wanted to fully rely on God. So my mantra, every year I have a mantra that God gives me. In 2019, my mantra was fight. In 2020, my mantra was hindsight is 2020. God is so good. In 2021, God spoke to me and told me that like everything that had happened before was going to make so much sense. And then for 2022, God said, dare to dream. And I realized as I looked at the documentation, seeing my GPA, seeing that my degree had been conferred, as I looked at this, I realized exactly what God was saying. God was saying that if I was bold enough to dream a dream and then couple it with faith the size of a mustard seed, He would perform miracles and wonders in my life like nothing I have ever seen. And beloved, I just want to tell you, He did. He truly did. As I look at the Michelle of 12, 19, 22, I see that she has grown in so many ways. If you look at the banner picture that I posted, you see that there are 3 different pictures. There's Michelle circa 1990. I don't really know. You know, I was young and impressionable, and that was before everything happened. That was before my life changed. And then the picture in the middle from 2008, that's when I went to London, and I'm smiling, but low-key, I was afraid. I hid a lot of the time that I was in London because I was so alone, not just physically, but emotionally. And now you look at the picture of my graduation picture, and that Michelle is not like the Michelle before her. That Michelle that you see in 2022, she knows what it means to trust God. She knows what it means to have faith the size of a mustard seed and trust that God will do everything that He said He would do in her life. That Michelle has grown in God and because of God. That Michelle has seen growth that is inexplicable, cannot be placed into words. That Michelle not only knows who God is, but she knows who God is in her life. The growth of me is a result of trusting fully in God. And that is what I pray for you. As we come to an end of 2022, we really have to start looking at who we are, what season of our lives are we in, and where do we want to go from here. If you haven't had time to sit with God and be intentional and completely map out where He's going to move in your life, how He's going to, completely work in your life, now is the time to do that. Take this time to be with God, fellowship with Him, dine on His word, sit in His presence, and allow Him to show you what's next. As we talk about what's next, I do want to give you a little preview of what's coming next week. So I'll share this here. God has given me my word for 2023, and I'm going to be honest, I was not happy. But I've made my peace with it because I know who my God is. My word for 2023 is grace. So I want you to sit with God this week and prepare your hearts, because as I think about the death to the old me, the new life that is me, and the growth of me, I'm preparing myself for what's next. And it's the grace for me. I love you, beloved. Enjoy your week. I'll talk to you again next week. Be blessed.